Okay, now we're recording. Um, I need someone to be a facilitator. Would anyone want to volunteer? Or do you want me to volunteer you? Wait, thanks for the congratulations. But I need volunteers because when I open my slide, I may not be able to look at the chat box anymore. So, okay. So if none, I will type in a volunteer. A Mariel Fritz Ababon is being, I cannot enter. Mm, Joan Sarsaba, would you like to volunteer to be facilitator? Basically, what you'll do is take note of the questions. Every now and then, I might ask you if there are questions, then you just tell me from the chat box. Okay. So is that a yes, sir, for volunteer or just a yes, sir? Okay. Okay, I'll continue now. Um, oh, someone is cannot um, enter because they're using their personal email. Um, Actually, I don't know how to do that. Perhaps if you send her the meeting link to her personal email, she can join. I think Tyra, I think you can do that. No? You can send her through email also. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so sorry, I am still learning this Google Meet on here. See, it's wrong again. Better get it this time. Okay, attendance. Okay, so all our online lecture will be recorded so that, and I will upload it in YouTube because YouTube at least is accessible to many persons, especially the data packages that makes use of YouTube. Okay, where YouTube is free. So participants' microphone should be on mute, especially if your background is very noisy. Um, you can use the chat box for comments. I just assigned the facilitator. And then the facilitator will sort out the questions. I'm sure there are a lot of questions which are also very easy to answer, so the facilitator should be able to answer them also. It is advisable to turn off the camera to make it easier for others with slow internet. Um, so, attendance, I'm not requiring attendance, okay? Because some of you cannot join the meeting or the online class because of internet connection. That's why we're recording it for them and for you also to review later. So announcements will be made ahead of time if attendance is required. For example, just a few minutes ago, all the teachers in design decided that when the first plate will be given out, it will be a plenary session, so everyone will join in. So attendance has no bearing on the grades. Okay, we communicate through Google Classroom. That's why I'm trying to avoid giving you my cell phone number and even Messenger. No? So we communicate through Google Classroom only. You can consult me anytime, but if you, for example, give me an email somewhere past, say, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, don't expect me to answer immediately because I sleep early and I wake up early also. So quizzes, we don't actually have quizzes. So I should have changed this. We have homeworks and exercises and plates. Okay, but and homeworks and exercises will have their specified date for submission. I wanted the homework to be submitted before our online lecture because, for example, the submission for the bedroom research will be this 6 p.m., 6:30, and yet I'm going to lecture about the bedroom. So I was forced to well, I have my own slides. So I would have wanted to make the slides from your submission, so to pick out some interesting things from what you submitted. So therefore, I have rearranged the deadline so that the homework is given before the lecture. And then there will be a rubric included in the homework so that you will know how your homework was graded. You just receive, for example, your grades for the first research about the bungalow design concept. So basically, that's how it works. I will also make comments. Um, Terminal project does not apply here. Major exams, we only have two, unlike the other classes where we have the pre-midterm and pre-finals. But here we only have midterm and finals. The midterm will be a drawing exercise or drawing exam done on the spot, I mean, under time pressure. So that's one instance when you will have attendance is required. Okay, the major exam, the final exam will be multiple choice type, so that we practice answering like the board exam. So these policies apply only to this course that I'm handling. If you, for example, compare with some friends who belong to another teacher of the same course, and then there's a difference in policies. So please don't mind that. If it bothers you, you can consult me, but in principle, we follow these policies. And then also, you might be receiving some notifications from Canvas, in which case, please ignore the notifications because all of us, the teachers, have agreed to use Google Classroom. It seems that there are a lot of glitches in the Canvas software for now. So grading system, this has changed from what I gave you in bulletin number 2. The midterm grade will be the 20% all the research, and then 40% for all exercises, and then 40% for the major exam. So major exam um, has a big chunk. No? Tentative final grade will be 30% for the first plate, and that's made up of all the other requirements inside, the research and then each drawing. Plate 2 is also 30%, and the final exam is 40%. Now, midterm is only 30% of the whole final grade. So therefore, it's important that you're on top form after midterms, especially if the midterm grade is a bit low. So other matters, I sent an invitation to one architect, Architect Vicky Puno, to be a co-teacher, but actually she will be observing only. And maybe if she accepts, she will be like a facilitator, so I don't have to ask for volunteers from the class. Now, I want to comment in general about the concept papers which you submitted. Okay, so majority of you actually did not address the client's issues or the client's requirements. If you did it in very general terms, like saying something like, okay, vegetable is good for your health, something like that, but you have to be more specific which vegetable and why. So it's I realized that I think you need some guidelines on how to go about in doing this. There's a book called Architectural Programming by Hirschberger. I forgot the first name. That tells you that the design process will require so many issues. If you list them down, there's so many of them. But what Hirschberger did is he he categorized them into 8, and these are the ones that are in your um, screen right now. So I memorized them with the mnemonic hectaeas, or you can also rearrange the mnemonic to test each. Anyway, that mnemonic device is this, no? First is human, then economic, cultural, technological, temporal, environmental, aesthetic, and safety. So these are all the possible issues you will encounter when you design something. So in our examples, human refers to anything about the age, about the physical well-being of a person, if he's disabled or not, or even gender, uh, if if your client is a man or woman. So there are impacts on design. Okay, so therefore you should do. But there are 8 issues here, and you should only choose which applies to your design problem. In our example, we were told that the couple is around 40 years old. So you should think about, okay, normally what are the characteristics of 40 years old people? And then um, we also know about the teenagers, the 15-year-old girl, and then the 10-year-old boy. So we sort of search for what special design needs this age group level needs. There's no mention that they are disabled, so no problem with that. Economic, if of course, whether your client has money or not. So they're both in healthcare. One is a pharmacist, the other one is also in the same field. So they're loaded probably. So that's the assumption. So we don't have to design. We can be lavish in our design. Cultural factors, for example, if they have they belong to another nationality with very specific culture. So in this case, we don't. No, there's no mention, so we can disregard culture. Technological, if there's a need to be high tech or low tech, if they are very old, for example, um, maybe we cannot be so high tech, or if there's a need to test some materials, so this belongs to technological. Temporal, but in our case I think technological is not applicable to the assignment we gave you. So temporal has to do with time, no? Whether what you're supposed to design is something permanent or temporary. Temporary would be tent structures, or for example, if an emergency shelter, and there are mentions, for example, about the bedroom or the kitchen converted into something else, an extension of the dining room, for example. So that's a temporary issue if that is required by the problem. Um, Another for permanence, for example, if you're designing a monument, so it has to be something that's permanent, so that the memory of whatever it's trying to memorialize lives on. So environmental has something to do with environment, of course. That includes the weather, or uh, the climate. No? If you're located in a place with so much snow, for example, but here we're very hot, so we have to consider also we're in a hot, humid place. But in again in our homework, this is not very important. Most important, which most of you actually dealt on in your concept, is aesthetic. So this is something to do with the design principles. So you talk about color, proportion, you talk about texture, and how your client would respond to this. So most of your discussion is really more on aesthetics only. And finally, safety, if there is, again, if it's applicable in some of your work, there is a concern about COVID. Okay, so that's why you put a sanitation area and all of those things. So that's also valid. Okay, so you have to go over this list at least to guide you in making a concept, in making also in getting the requirement of the client. Okay. So I had a call that I have to. Hello. Right. Please wait. Hello, my big brother. Congratulations. Wait a minute, because I have a class, online class. So I'll call you again. I don't know how this works. I'm sorry. Where were we? So let's talk about. So any questions so far from Joanne? I think. Okay. So hello, are you still there? Yeah. So are there? So there's no question. Um, Let me continue. So now I will talk about the bedroom design. Okay. So when we design, so you just made a research, so you have a lot of information. So what I'm going to say here might be a bit redundant, but it's okay. If there's anything new, just take note. And if your research is more complete, so that's very good. But if there's something that conflicts, you can raise that up. No? You can ask. Um, the location should be private, especially for visual and sound. Thus, we locate it in a passive area. In your case, the floor plan was already given, so you don't really have control. In terms of size, the recommended minimum size is 10 by 12 feet, excluding closets. So you can also check the minimum standards for from the National Building Code. Although again, in your case, the room sizes are given and you cannot manipulate it. The essential activities are simply sleeping and dressing. All the others are not essential, but they can be useful. You can put them there. No? There are three types of bedrooms: master bedroom, the children's bedroom or kids' bedroom, and then a guest room. In your plate, on your exercise, there's only the master bedroom and two children's bedrooms. So the master bedroom normally has its own toilet and bath, and the closet is optional. It's ideal to have a um, walk-in closet. So we see here in the screen an example of a typical bedroom uh, layout. For the kids' room, what's important is the study table and of course the storage and lots of it. Okay, and so the kids' room can be very compact. You don't need so much space. The guest bedroom, it's more generic in design because anyone will go there, so it's not really personalized, unlike a kid's bedroom. In kid's bedroom, for example, if the kid is uh, a fan of Pikachu, so you'll have Pikachu splashed all over the room. But you cannot do that in a guest bedroom, so you have to design it more like a hotel. No? And then usually it has its own toilet. Otherwise, it is located very near to a toilet because they have to have access to that and not disturb the family. So that's the idea. For furniture, the essential furniture are bed and closet. Useful furniture will be a dressing table or otherwise called a vanity, and then night tables or nightstand, and then a chest of drawers or sometimes called bureau or sometimes called dresser. Others, writing desk, secretary, which is also called the secretary, and also some seats, especially if your bedroom is so big that it can accommodate mini sala. Now for beds, we have the single type bed, which is 36 by 75 inches. And then the twin bed is 39 by 75. So the twin bed can probably take two persons, but small ones, okay? But the double bed can comfortably take in two persons. It's 54 inches by 74 inches. The full bed and the double bed are actually the same. Okay, sometimes they call it full bed, then sometimes they call it double bed. In most hotels, they have full beds. The queen is, of course, very big, and normally some high-end design calls for a queen bed for the master's bedroom. It's 60 by 84 inches. And then the king is, of course, even bigger. It's 76 by 80 inches. We also have bunk beds and it comes in many forms. Sometimes the lower bed is wider or sometimes there are no lower bed. Instead, you have the study table below. For closets, you have three types. Reach-in closet, which is more common. They're normally built in. And then you have the walk-in closet when you really have to enter the closet to get something. Or what we call an armoire or a freestanding closet. So this is more common. And it comes in many designs, and the old closets are actually this type. Others, we have the dressing table or vanity. This is the night table. Sometimes you only have one on one side. Otherwise, if there are two people on the bed, especially in master's bedroom where a couple is expected to share the bed. So you have one each on both sides. Chest of drawers is optional storage, normally for small items, folded items. For furniture clearance, so you have to take note of all the um, allowances, the measurements. So between one side or foot of the bed to a dressing table should be 42 inches. And between the dresser and a closet, or a closet and chest of drawers and the bed, so that's 36 inches. So 22 inches between two beds so that you can move around, and then 12 inches on one side of the bed, which is not where there's nothing else but a wall. Okay. So sample layouts, and please take note of the measurements. The measurements are inside measurements from surface of the inside wall, not inside the middle of the wall. Okay. This one is twin bed. So what the dimensions I gave you are minimum. Therefore, you can go bigger. For example, in between bed, you have 1 foot and 6 inches instead of 12 inches only. Okay, so these are my references. Um, so far, are there any questions? John, you can take off. You can unmute your mic if you need to talk to say there are no questions. Okay, I'll go directly to our exercise. So after this lecture, I will assign this in Google Classroom, but this is what you will receive later. So using the design brief, students must design and conceptualize the bedrooms based on the needs of the user. The idea is to create a space that would fit the personalities of the family that will be using the space. So on that note, you as the designer must study and decide to incorporate what you think are necessary spaces as added features in the bedroom. So the requirements, your design concept for each bedroom. Some of you already made this when you were asked to design for the bungalow. Well, I was, well, the teachers were asking only for the general theme, which you can apply later for each room. But some of you already discussed that, so you can copy what you wrote and then maybe add more explanations. Um, you have to show floor plans, blow up plans of all bedrooms. The master bedroom, there's a specification here that there should be a study area or a TV nook. For the girls' bedroom, bed area, study nook. Nook means a corner, built-in cabinets and closet, and the same with the boys' bedroom. There should be a sectional elevation on two sides, cross and longitudinal, for all the bedrooms. Okay, and then perspective for all bedroom in pen and ink, not rendered. I think in one class you're supposed to submit AR2101. You're supposed to submit a rendered perspective based on this in this exercise. So you should also submit a list of furniture, fixture, and cabinetry and their sizes used in the layout. So I'm sorry for the typo. And to submit in A4 paper, manually drafted, inked with proper drafting dimensions and labels. So scanned or photo, upload it in this portal. So if you have a scanner, you can scan it. If you don't, you can download an app for your phone, cam scanner or something, which takes a photo and then straightens that up for you, and then you can submit. Just make sure that it's clear. You have a lot of light when you take the picture. Now, all the drawings must be done manually. Okay, for research, you can just download pictures, but for design exercises, drawings must be done manually. Okay, so basically that's it. Um,
Sir,
yes,
I have a question.
yeah, that's very loud. Okay, what is
Sorry,
it?
sir. What?
No problem.
How do we reference our sources, sir? Like, what kind of reference are you expecting? Like an
Mm.
APA format?
Um, if it's a photo, you can just put like what I did in the slides, where photo source and then where you got it. If it's a book or a website, if it's an idea, you can. The APA format is also good, or I think that's the only way, no, the AP format. Um, the good thing is if you're going to quote somebody, so you have to put it there. No, there are two types of references. References mean any book that you use, whether you refer to it in the text or not. I mean, if you put a footnote or something, no, like the family name and year. But sometimes you don't really put that there, but you still made use of the book. So you can still list the book, the name of the book below. But it doesn't, I'm not going to be strict about the format as long as you list down the name of the book where or the website.
Sige, sir.
So okay, so it's not like a research paper. So as long as you tell me that it's not really your original work, because some people are very sensitive if you do not uh, acknowledge that the work comes from them. So anything else? Any questions? Um, wait, I'll just. So there are 19 of you supposedly enrolled, and there are 20 here. So basically, everyone is here. No? So I will still upload the recording of this session so that you can review some things because, for example, I'm not going to share my slides, the one that I showed you. And if you want to take note of what I put there, so you can by reviewing. Okay, so what else? So basically, that's it. The exercise, by the way, is due on I forgot, but it will be there in the Google Classroom. So after this lecture, you will receive a notification. Okay, so with that, we only took like 40 minutes. So I want to thank you all for joining the class, and so we'll end the session now. It's okay. When will do the deadline? Okay, so there's a question and I just answered it. Okay, so thank you again for joining. So you can leave now. So class dismiss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.